Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur is the grass-type starter from Generation 1's Pokémon Red and Blue, and is an amphibian-like creature with a plant bulb on its back. This plant bulb supplies it with energy via photosynthesis and also carries nutritious seeds within it. When Bulbasaur is ready to evolve, its bulb glows blue in color. Despite its resistance to evolve, it transforms into Ivysaur, a grass/poison dual type with a large pink bud on its back. Finally, it evolves into Venusaur, which also happens to be grass/poison type. It can further evolve into Mega Venusaur or Gigantamax Venusaur, depending on the method of evolution. Charmander is another Generation 1 starter, and Fire-type Pokémon with a reptile build. The flame on the tip of its tail is indicative of its life, and it should never be doused. The name Charmander comes from char, meaning burnt, and mander, derived from salamander. Charmander evolves into Charmeleon, and then into Charizard, which is a dual fire-flying type. It has two Mega Evolution forms, Mega Charizard X via Charizardite X and Mega Charizard Y via Charizardite Y. Squirtle is the water-type twin sibling of Bulbasaur and Charmander, resembling a turtle with a protective shell. It uses the strong water jets released by Torrent. Squirtle evolves into Wartortle, which possesses a particularly fluffy tail, and then into Blastoise. The advanced forms of Blastoise are Mega Blastoise through the use of Blastoisinite and Gigantamax Blastoise through Gigantamax energy. Chikorita is the grass-type starter from Generation 2's Pokémon Gold and Silver. It has a leaf on its head that secretes an aroma that quiets battling Pokémon. Its name is derived from a plant, chicory. Chikorita evolves into Bayleaf, which has aromatic leaves around its neck with energizing effects. Bayleaf evolves into Meganium, which emits aromas of calmness and holds within it petals of regeneration. Cyndaquil is a Generation 2 starter, pure fire type, and has 4 red spots on its back that will erupt in flame when it is threatened. Cyndaquil develops into Quilava, which protects itself with flames on its back, and into Typhlosion, whose fire outburst is so powerful that it can lead to an explosion if enraged. This generation's water-type starter is Totodile, a small crocodile-like Pokémon with quite a playful nature but dangerous nonetheless. It evolves into Croconaw with jaws full of sharp teeth, and then into Feraligatr, who stands out among the largest crocodilian Pokémon and also boasts incredible agility and strength. The grass-type starter in Generation 3, Pokémon Ruby and Sapphire, Trico is a reptilian Pokémon whose tail computes humidity, enabling it to forecast the weather. Trico evolves first into Grovyle, which is like a theropod dinosaur with camouflage by leaf-like appendages on the body, and then into Sceptile, which has a mega evolution called Mega Sceptile, capable of firing its tail like a projectile. Torchic is a fire-type starter from Generation 3 that keeps its flames inside its stomach. When attacked, it shoots its fireballs as hot as 1,800 degrees Celsius. Torchic evolves into Combusken, famous for its strong kicks, and further into Blaziken, which can Mega evolve into Mega Blaziken, capable of jumping over a high-rise building with ease. Mudkip is the water-type starter from Generation 3, resembling a mudskipper. It uses its head fin to feel out changes in its surroundings and its tail fin for powerful swimming. Mudkip evolves into Marshtomp, skilled at navigating through muddy areas, and further into Swampert, a muscular Pokémon that can even move boulders. It can also Mega evolve from using Swampertite into an even more powerful Pokémon. Turtwig is the grass-type starter from Generation 4's Pokémon Diamond and Pearl, with a plant sprouting from its head and a shell made of hardened soil. Its name is indeed a portmanteau of turtle and twig. Turtwig evolves into Grotle, which carries other Pokémon on its back to sources of pure water, then into Torterra, a large Pokémon with a tree and mountains on its back, thus symbolizing a miniature ecosystem. Chimchar. Chimchar is a fire-type starter from Generation 4 and is a monkey-like Pokémon. Its flame, fueled by gas in its stomach, burns on its tail and heightens when it's angry. It evolves into Monferno, who uses his flaming tail to ward enemies away, and then later into Infernape, a fire-fighting-type Pokémon known for its speed and martial arts-like combat moves. The water-type starter of that generation is Piplup, a penguin-like Pokémon with thick down feathers to shield itself from cold climates. It uses its flippers for the perfect swim and attack. Ultimately, Piplup evolves into Prinplup, an even better swimmer, and then into Empoleon, a majestic water-steel-type Pokémon with a trident-like beak for fighting. Snivy is Generation 5's grass-type starter from Pokémon Black and White. It is a snake-like Pokémon whose leafy tail generates energy via photosynthesis. Snivy evolves into Servine, which utilizes its vine-like appendages for attacking, and then finally into Serperior, a Pokémon staring opponents down with an intimidating glare. Tepig has the resemblance of a pig with a thick snout that is capable of blowing flames. It is a fire-type starter from this very generation. Tepig evolves into Pignite, who stores fire in his stomach for attacks, and then into Emboar, a fire-fighting type Pokémon famous for his flowing mane and his powerful physical attacks. Oshawott is the water-type starter of Generation 5 and has a sea otter-like appearance, though it does hold some sort of shell-like weapon in its belly called a scallop. The name seems to be a portmanteau of ocean and otter. It evolves into Dewott, which is able to use 2 scallops with great precision, and further into Samurott, an armor-wearing, blade-horned samurai Pokémon. Chespin is the grass-type starter from Pokémon X and Y in Generation 6, covered with a protective layer of tough, spiky shell coverings. Its name mixes chestnut and spine. Chespin evolves into Quilladin, whose shell hardens further to give it an improved defense, and then into Chesnaught, a grass-fighting type Pokémon with a strong, spiky shell used for both offense and defense. Fennekin is a fire-type starter from the same generation and was a fox-like Pokémon with big ears that emit heat. Fennekin evolves into Braixen, which could wield a flaming stick, and then into Delphox, a fire PSY-type Pokémon using mystical flames for attacks. Froakie is a water-type starter from the Generation 6 with the appearance of a frog, having a body covered with protective bubbles known as frubbles. Froakie evolves into the agile Pokémon Frogadier, capable of flinging bubble-coated pebbles, which then evolves into the stealthy water-dark-type Pokémon Greninja, capable of transforming into Ash Greninja through special bonding. The grass-flying type starter from Pokémon Sun and Moon. Of Generation 7, Rowlet is an owl-like Pokémon with leafy feathers. It flies noiselessly, attacking with its sharp feathers. It evolves into Dartrix, which utilizes sharp blade quills for precision attacks. And finally to Decidewhy, a grass ghost-type Pokémon that can shoot quills like arrows with high accuracy. Litten is a fire-type starter from the same generation. Resembling a kitten with fur that is flammable, Litten evolves into Torracat, which contains a bell-like organ that gets hot when it prepares for battle, and then into Incineroar, a fire-dark-type Pokémon with a fire belt used for deadly attacks. Popplio is the water-type starter from Generation 7. It is a sea lion-like Pokémon that makes water bubbles for offense and performance alike. Popplio would evolve into Brionne, which would dance while it attacks with water balloons, then into Primarina, a water fairy-type Pokémon that would use sound-controlled water balloons to confuse and strike opponents. Grookey is a grass-type Generation 8 starter from Pokémon Sword and Shield. It's a monkey with a stick that he rhythmically beats to grow vegetation. It evolves into Thwackey, who also does the same thing, but with dual sticks for some rapid attacks. Then to Rillaboom, a grass-type Pokémon with a tree stump drum, which he utilizes in commanding the roots during battles. Scorbunny is a Generation 8 fire-type starter that resembles a rabbit in appearance. It generates heat from its feet. It evolves into Reboot, which uses its flaming bandages to attack opponents, and later into Cinderace, an agile striker that can turn pebbles into blazing soccer balls. Sobble is a water-type Pokémon, and its nature is timid. It's a lizard from the same generation that changes color to camouflage itself in water. Sobble evolves into Drizzle, which uses water balloons, and then into Inteleon, with a sniping nature and water projectiles. Sprigatito is the grass-type starter from Pokémon Scarlet and Violet of Generation 9. It is a cat-like Pokémon with a sweet smell that soothes its opponents. It evolves into Floragato, which becomes more agile, using its vines in battle, and further into Meowscarada, a grass-dark-type Pokémon with a flower-like weapon for surprise attacks. Fuecoco is a fire-type starter from this generation, with a crocodile-like appearance and a flame sac from which the energy is released. Fuecoco evolves into Crocolore, which has fire energy stored in its head, and afterward into Skeledirge, a fire ghost-type Pokémon, with its fiery bird it uses in battles. Quaxley is the water-type starter from Generation 9, taking the appearance of a duck with webbed feet for swimming. It evolves into Quaxwell, a more refined shape with a shield-like crest on its head, and finally into Quaquaval, a water-fighting-type Pokémon whose spinning water feathers become lethal weapons during combat. Which starter is your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.